Hey, what's up guys, and today I wanted to bring you an introduction to Dracotail. I'm going to go through the deck and tell you guys about what the cards do, and then go through some of the ways you can play it, and just talk about the deck in general. So, if you don't know, Dracotail is a fusion deck coming out on Justice Hunters. They got a bunch of cards. The first card is Dracotail Lucius. It says this card is normal or special summon. You can add a Dracotail monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set a Dracotail spell and trap from your deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. So it's basically like a Stratos for the deck. And then when you fuse with it, it's also going to set a spell and trap as well. So pretty good. Second card is going to be Dracotail Mole. Not how you pronounce it, but whatever. During the main phase, quick effect, you can fusion summon a Dracotail fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. Also, you cannot special summon from your extra deck for the rest of the turn, except fusion monsters. And then if this card is set to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set a Dracotail spell and trap from your deck. Then you can negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent controls. So it's going to have all the Dracotail monsters from the main deck have the effect. When they're sent to the graveyard for fusion material, you can set a Dracotail spell and trap. So it kind of lets you go plus, which, because like the weakness of fusion decks has been like you use 3 cards to like summon one guy. So you want your fusion materials to like help you go plus. Shadal's kind of like fixed that at the time of like 2014, but Dracotail takes that to a whole new level. Mole is it's not only going to set a spell and trap for you, but it's also going to negate a card as well. So it's like basically does double what like Shadal's do. And something to note is that this is a quick effect during the main phase, so you can use it during the opponent's turn. So if you like normal summon this and they get stopped, you can just do it during the opponent's turn and still play, and then trigger like the effect to negate something when you use it as fusion material. Also, it's a dragon, so you can summon it off of erratic fields as well, so that's pretty cool. Other card is Dracotail 5 mana. During the main phase quick effect, you can discard this card, fusion summon a dragon or spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can set it as fusion material, set a Dracotail spell and trap. 5 mana is one of the best monsters in the deck because it basically is a hand trap. You can just discard it and fusion summon, so you can do it during the opponent's turn as well. So that's really cool because not only is just summoning a fusion good during the opponent's turn, but also your Dracotail monsters have effects when used as fusion material. This guy is going to negate a monster effect, and these other cards we're going to talk about as well do other stuff too. So let's say you use 5 mana, discard it, use like the mole as fusion material. Well then, not only do you get to like set a spell and trap, summon a fusion, but you also get to negate a card your opponent controls, so it's going to be pretty cool. A monster. The next card is going to be Dracotail Pan. This card is sent to the graveyard for fusion summon. You can set a Dracotail spell and trap from your deck. Then you can destroy a monster on the field. So this is like disruption when you like fuse with it. So you can like triggering this during the opponent's turn with 5 mana is really, really good. And then if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while this card's in the graveyard, you can place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon a non-fusion Dracotail monster from your graveyard. Dracotail Urgula. If this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion for a fusion summon, you can set a Dracotail spell and trap, then you can destroy a spell and trap on the field. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target a spellcaster Dracotail monster in your graveyard, place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. Something to note about Pan and Urgula is that they are non-targeting. So that is actually crazy. It makes it really hard for your opponent to interact with them. You just go second, trigger them, like they don't know what you're going to destroy, so they just kind of have to let everything go. Also, Urgula, the graveyard effect is really nice. So basically, most of the time you're going to be using it to add back 5 mana from your graveyard to your hand, so you can like have it for the opponent's turn because it is a hand trap. Next card is going to be Ketu Dracotail. It's a spell, my channel's profile pick. You can add a Dracotail monster from your deck to your hand, so already really good. It's a Rhoda. Then if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon a Dracotail or spellcaster monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. This card is crazy going second. You know, it's like a 2-in-1, right? It's a poly, and it's a adds a material. That's gonna be really good. So like going second, you can go like Ketu, add like Pan, then you fusion summon with the Pan and like something else, trigger the Pan, pop a card. It makes it just really hard to interact with. And when you're playing against a deck like, let's say, Thanquil Canine, a deck that doesn't really have many ways to interact with spells and traps, Ketu just does a lot in terms of breaking the board, which is really, really cool. And then obviously it's a spell you can set off your Dracotail, so just like triggering a Dracotail to set Rhoda is really nice as well. The next card is going to be Rahu Dracotail. It says fusion summon a Dracotail fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, deck, and or field. Also like locks you in the fusions, but that's fine because it's for the rest of the turn, so you can still like make something like seals beforehand. And this is, so it's basically Branded Fusion, you know, but it's not as good as Branded Fusion because you only use monsters from your deck, because this has to summon a Dracotail, and all the Dracotails do require a monster in your hand. So you can't just fusion summon from the deck, but you know, you can still use one material from the deck, and that's like pretty good. The next card is going to be Dracotail Horn. It's a normal trap. Target a attack position monster in the field, return it to the hand or extra deck, / then you can place a Dracotail card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck, then draw a card. So it bounces an attack position monster and then lets you draw a card, and also puts back your resources, which is pretty cool. Something to keep in mind is that these cards, because they do have an effect to draw, the draw is optional, but because it exists on the card, you can ash it, you can bell it, you can also purge it as well. That's important to note. Bell is a pretty decent card against Dracotail. The next card is going to be Dracotail Flame. Target a face-up spell in the field, negate its effects. Then you can place a Dracotail card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck, then draw a card. So similar to the other trap, but instead of bouncing an attack position monster, you can negate a spell. So you can just, when you fuse, you're just setting like multiple disruption cards. So that's pretty cool. And normally when you use a trap, you try to recycle one. Let's say you use like Horn. Then when you use Flame, you put back the Horn. So you can like recycle your traps that way. Because this is the only way to really recycle your spells and traps. Then they have two extra deck monsters. They have Dracotail Eltharion. This card is fusion summon. You can target monsters on the field and or in the graveyard. In the graveyards, up to the number of monsters used from the hand's material, return them to the hand. If two or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it and leave the field. So the first effect, you can just bounce like multiple cards. Let's say you use like 3 cards from your hand to summon it. You can just bounce 3 cards from your field, your opponent's field, or either graveyard. So because of like the fusion effect, you can chain block it too. So you can just basically, if you're able to fusion summon, you can remove your opponent's entire board, which is really cool. So the graveyard effect, that's going to trigger when like a synchro summon happens, you know, a fusion summon, something like that. And it makes your body's really sticky, which is really cool. The next fusion is going to be Dracotail Gramel. When you activate a Dracotail card or effect, quick effect, you can target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. If 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time, you special summon the card from your graveyard, banish them, and leaves the field. This is going to be another form of disruption that you have in the Dracotail deck. Something to keep in mind that it does say when you activate a Dracotail card or effect. So let's say you activate like Femena, right? Normally you can like chain the Granville to like just pop a card, but because Femena, your opponent's able to respond to Femena. So let's say you do Femena, they chain a card or effect, you can no longer activate Gramel because Gramel has to like be in direct response to the Dracotail card. So there is some counterplay there, which does make it a little bit awkward to use sometimes, but overall the card is still really solid. And yeah, Dracotail, it's honestly like, it's a really good deck, but it's also really flexible as well. The deck has a lot of different ways you can play it, a lot of different variants. Some of the variants like engines, so obviously the fusion deck, right? So like King of the Swamp is going to be playable on the deck. So it's the Patchwork engine, you know, that gives you, Patchwork is especially nice because it gives you like free bodies in the hand, which is what this deck wants. Something that's seen a decent amount of play in the OCG is the Primite engine, which I'm not a big fan of personally. I feel like it adds like, the deck already has like double normal summons. I'm not trying to play 9 normal summons in my deck, more bricks, you know, etc. But in the OCG, people like it, you know, it does help with Retaliating Sea, it does help with that low to the ground approach. I don't think Primite's going to go second though, so. But yeah, the Dragonmane engine, which I was a big hater on at first, but it honestly is not that bad. It's actually pretty okay. One of the issues with the Dracotail deck is that your ceiling is kind of low. Like the spell, like setting these disruptions is cool, but like outside of, you don't consistently have access to like pan popping and mole negating on the opponent's turn. So like the ceiling can be low sometimes. So Dragonmane, it kind of helps with that. Dragonmane engine doesn't necessarily get you to your Dracotail engine, but like you can like Dracotail the deck that wants to play with like multiple cards, so you can like normal summon your Dragonmane, make like the fusion, and you can summon like fusion summon Chamber. Chamber adds a fusion spell, so you get like a fusion spell that way to fuse, and then you also can summon like the shoe on the opponent's turn for an Omni negate. So it's pretty cool there. K9 is another engine some people do decide to play in the deck. It doesn't have that much synergy with the deck. It's just more along the lines of like K9 cards are good. Femena is level 5, but like I'm not really trying to summon Femena, so I'm not a big fan of it, but you know, it does have some advantages. You know, K9 cards are decently good. It plays around like deep area a bit better than some of the other variants, which is important to note. It can play Azuna, although you can play Azuna without it. Regenesis, I'm not gonna lie, this engine's terrible. Some people have played in the OCG do not play this at all. Branded actually is not bad. Obviously, Branded Fusion, you can summon like Lubellion, so you can trigger like the mole to set. The issue with Branded is that Branded Fusion's at 1, right? Like, it's at 1. Opening is not a good starter in this deck. You don't get value from discarding something. So playing like just the 1-1 ratio is like okay, but is it really worth it? I don't know, right? Which is unfortunate. It might be worth it, but yeah. But Branded Fusion, like, resolving is crazy though, obviously. Magistus. So Magistus kind of gets you to like a fusion engine, because there's a card, I forget the name of it. Crowley the Gifted Magistus, so lets you fusion summon. There are a lot of different plays you can do with it, but it's just a really versatile engine. Also helps you beat Retaliating Sea. We don't have Spoon. Unfortunately, didn't get imported into the Battles of Legends set for some reason, so we don't actually have Spoon. So for us in the TCG, this variant isn't really going to be playable. In the OCG, it's like the most played variant at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. So RIP. Shaddoll Fusion is a pretty good card in this deck, because you can Shaddoll Fusion summon any of your fusions, and then you can just send a Dracotail and then go plus that way. I think if you do play a blind second variant, Shaddoll Fusion is going to be really nice. Invoked, technically you can search a fusion spell, but I think it's mid. Mitsurugi and Fiend Swift, they don't directly get you to your Dracotail engine, but the reason to play them would just be that they're good like standalone engines. Like the cards are good enough solo that like them not having synergy is like kind of fine, but I don't think Fiendsmith is going to be good next format. It just plays too hard into Azuna. That's not that great going second into the decks, so I'm not a big Fiendsmith fan. If Mitsurugi, it could technically be an option. It does add a little bit too many bricks for my comfort. Also, Mitsurugi is probably getting hit, let's be honest, so not really going to be an option. For the extra deck, you have a couple cards. One card I did forget to add to this extra deck. Let me add it real quick. It's going to be a newish fusion, Secretarion Dragon. It requires a dragon and a spellcaster. This card loses 100 attack for each of your banished cards. While you control this fusion summon card, your opponent cannot activate the effects of special summon dragon and or spellcasters they control. So it's like a pseudo floodgate against Dracotail, and then you can target a dragon and spellcaster in your graveyard, special summon one, and place the other in the bottom of the deck. This card is an option not only to play in the deck, but also play against the deck, because it's like a floodgate against the deck. It's a super poly target, because this is a dragon, this is a spellcaster. Yeah. Mysterion's pretty cool, a dragon and spellcaster. It reads, if a monster uses its effect to activate it to special summon itself or a monster of the same original type, you can target one of those special summon monsters, banish that monster, banish all monsters from the field same original type. So this is actually pretty decent against Yummy, in my opinion. It's not bad against some of the canine cards. It's not terrible either. I think it's like it's decent. I think you do play this in the Dracotail deck. Other fusion stuff, Dracostapelia, Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera is going to depend if you play Patchwork. Spirit with Eyes of Blue is used to make seals, because you can turn your Lucius into a dragon. Seals is really cool in this deck. Not only is it going to be a good, like, bounces, like, decent disruption, but you can summon the mole during the opponent's turn. It's a fusion summon, so it's a quick effect fusion summon, right? So you can, like, seals, bounce, then summon the fusion dude, the fusion summon. You fusion summon, you summon a fusion that does something, and then this will also negate something. So seals is like 3 interruptions in one card. SP is just a card you like play with the deck, whatever. Also, one last thing to note is that Dragoon is like an option that has synergy. Like, you put in the Primate build, you play Dragoon, because they play like Dark Magician, and they turn Dark Magician to like the Mduck to make seals. Because like part of the reason they like the engine in the OCG too is because Dragoon is just like a really good card into some of the Juhu decks. It's like really hard for decks out. So not so much Dracotail, but like Yummy, a little bit Dracotail, but like more so like Yummy and like Canine is like they have to go through hoops to out Dragoon. So like Dragoon like being playable in the Primate version, obviously being playable in the King of the Swamp version, you know, does make the card have some value. Yeah, that was it. That was my introduction to the Dracotail deck. Hope you enjoyed. I do plan on uploading a bunch of Dracotail videos. Probably tomorrow, a Dracotail deck profile for just like a standard like pure variant. And then in the next coming days and weeks, I'll upload other variants, especially like Dragon Maid, which is something I'm messing around with, and a blind second variant, which I'm kind of like thinking is maybe the best way to play the deck, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that was it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and take care.